Oh my goodness, just even believing that you can provide for yourself after depending on someone else to some, like, when you have a W-2 income, it's like
Yeah.
you're really depending on that job to pay you regardless of if you work or not, right? It was hard for me not to work because I'd get so behind, like I had so much to do. It wasn't based on hourly. It was just like that money's always going to be there. If I have a bad day and I take a day off, that money's still going to be there.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, if I get sick and I don't have a client, like a prospect meeting,
Yeah.
that's money that's not coming into my household. And
Yeah.
it's just a whole different mindset of like, can I even do this?
What's up, y'all?
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Adrienne.
And this is the Two Mics,
Two Glasses
podcast, where two best friends discuss business ownership in life.
What's up, girl? How's your week been?
So last week, some great things happened. My sister got a new job.
Dang, she always is on the up and up.
Yes, we need to have her come on and talk about her interviewing skills or her resume skills or whatever it is, because she kills it every time. I'm super proud of her.
Yeah.
And what else happened last week? I think, we got to go down and visit my homegirl. So we had a little road trip. That was fun. Yeah. What about you? What you have going on?
This past week, it was kind of stressful, but I feel real progressed because I'm fully caught up with work, which is like...
So, girl, you're all caught up, and I feel like we should toast to that. So what are we drinking today?
Yes, we should. So we are drinking Josh Cellars Red Blend 2022.
Yes, I love me a red.
We both love red.
We do love red. Yes. Thank you, Mommy. My mommy got me that bottle for Valentine's Day. Thanks, Mom.
Yum. All right. We are talking today about changes.
Changes.
What type of changes we talking about?
We are talking about our transition out of the mega structure of corporate America.
Leaving the man.
Leaving it. Coming to ourselves, coming into our own. How long have you been a full-time entrepreneur?
So I have been a full-time entrepreneur now for 5 years. I just hit 5 years this month, actually, which is crazy.
Cheers to that.
Yes. Let me get another sip.
We're going to toast to everything today.
Yeah. How long have you been working full-time?
Oh, I just been working, I've been out of corporate full-time. Let me count. My little old 9 months.
9 months?
Little baby entrepreneur.
Well, you're a baby because you've been doing your own thing.
Yeah, but it has been 9 glorious months. And honestly, I have seen becoming from myself, because now I have this mental capacity to think outside of this structure that I've always been so used to. So it's a breath of fresh air, but also it's just it's next.
I love that. When you said becoming, I was like, Michelle Obama, yes. When they go low, we go high.
We try to stride. Because they went low in corporate. Okay, they go low. They go all the way to the bottom.
They do. So, I mean, 9 months, how did you, what even led to this point where you're 9 months in entrepreneurship now?
I think we need another bottle of wine. But I will tell the story.
Definitely tell that story.
Okay, so let's talk about how far back I should go. I started my career in public accounting at one of the big 4 firms. I don't know if I should name them or not. But,
they don't need to know all that.
They don't need to know it.
But yes, public accounting.
In public accounting, so, had an audit background. It's a great place to start your career, but it is definitely a very challenging work environment. So I was like, okay, I don't know if this is for me for a long time, so I'm going to move on. And so I took on an internal audit role, which is what brought me to the DC area. Which I love it here. But so I was there for about 12 years, and there were so many ups and downs. I just feel like I always have to politicize things. Apologies. I'm not militant, but I'm a little, once you see things, you can't unsee things. So just being a black woman in corporate America, there are certain things that I experienced that I realized that some of my counterparts didn't need to experience or like weren't criticized on. Like things were very critical of me sometimes more than others. I know, like we have grown up knowing you have to work twice as hard to get half as much. But like I literally had to work 3 times as hard to get a quarter of the much. And sometimes it was like a challenge that I enjoyed, but sometimes it was just like backbreaking a little bit, you know? It was demoralizing. Like my mental health really suffered, especially at the end, but then there was a light called COVID, which I feel bad saying because I know that it was a rough time for a lot of people.
Yeah,
So,
but I feel like black people in general, a lot of us were thriving in COVID. Like it was like a new beginning
black
for
professionals, because we were just like, oh, I don't hate my job. I hate going to the office.
right. All the microaggressions.
Right. No, let's call them macroaggressions, okay? We call them micro like they're small, but they're not because they really impact the way that we move. You know, like I can never fully blossom and move as Lauren because of the micro because of the aggressions I was experiencing. So I was always editing myself,
And like
myself.
code switching.
Oh my God, code switching. I mean, we've heard our parents code switch, right? Like my mom used to work from home. Mommy answered the phone. She sound like this. Mommy talking to me. She sound like this, right? That's code switching. So we have learned to code switch. Just as black people, we kind of have to learn that.
Yeah.
But the extreme of it is like, do you code switch to the point of not recognizing who you are? Like there was a point in time, like so I'm home for COVID. I'm thriving. I get promoted during COVID. I get a raise. I get promoted. I get all these.
And did you have to go in the office any days, or you were home every day?
I was home every single day for COVID. And when they brought us back into the office, I was damaged. I was like, I know I can do my job at home.
Because before that, you were going in every
I was
single
going
day.
in every single day. So I didn't have any. Like some people had some before, but we had none. So it was every day, unless it was snowing. Lord, I would pray for snow. After COVID, going back was really, really tough. I had gained all that weight I lost. Listen, during COVID, I lost weight. My skin was glowing.
Dang, I was gated and you were loose. I'm still working off them 30 pounds. Okay.
Well, I'm working off the 30 pounds from when I went back to working from COVID. Child, this double chin, Lord. You know, going back after COVID opened my eyes, but also like COVID opened my mind a little bit, right? Like I was already entrepreneurial. I feel like I'm monologuing a little too much, but I'll get through it. I felt very entrepreneurial before COVID, but after COVID, it was kind of like seeing like, oh, you can work from home, you can be very productive, and you can still have a life.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Just talking to friends, they had downtime at work. I never had downtime. And I think that might be like the industry of accounting and audit. Like there's no downtime. There's always something to do. There's always a project coming. There's always a deadline coming. So like the downtime at work is not a thing. So
it wasn't. So like I had a job once where it was like I had a lot of work to do, but there was also an appearance thing where like even if I knew that I could complete a project in 3 days when it took 5, because I was in an open office space where everybody could see your computer, I had to give the appearance always of like
having to work.
Yeah, that was working. Was yours like that at all, or was it
no?
Always,
always something. It was like, okay, we just got through this really tough time, but this other time is gearing up, and the report is due within X amount of time we need to execute, right? So it's like, no. At least for me. Some other people had some more downtime than me, but I mean, it would get filled up with other projects. Like if you have a little bit of downtime, they'd be like, okay, we'll put you on this project. And then.
So was your day just as filled when you were working from home? Like,
yeah, it was a ton of meetings all the time. But the good thing was I was at home, so I didn't have to be on when I wasn't on a meeting. Yeah. And the thing about being a black woman in corporate America is even when you're sitting at your seat, you have to be on because people are watching, people are worried about you. I never really understood why people cared so much about what other people are doing, but they do. So for me, just in my experience, I just had to be on all the time. I had to always be happy, smiling. Even so, when after COVID, when I just stopped performing, I got a question like, "Are you okay? Do you want to be here?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I mean,
So why were you stopping performing?
because COVID opened my eyes to the fact that I don't have to perform.
Oh, so what, like when you were back in the office?
So yeah, when I was back in the office, I was like, man, I'm just gonna be myself. And it's not that I wasn't myself before, but I was like an enhanced, always happy version. Like if you came to talk to me, I'd be like, oh, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? Do you need help with something? Like it was just like this plastered smile. That's not natural to normal most people.
Yeah.
And so I was still very helpful, and I really enjoyed most of the people on my team. So it's not like I was mean to people or rude, but like, it's just unrealistic to be walking around like
Smiling.
like
Yeah.
the people from Get Out. They were like,
Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah.
like that's kind of how I felt.
I was never like super smiley at corporate, but I definitely was like in different jobs where it was just, I just didn't feel like I could be myself. I couldn't talk the way that I talk. I like, it was kind of like, it was just like a facade. Like I maybe was a little bit more smiley. I don't know. I had a few jobs like that. I started working in '09. I didn't get into a job where I felt like I could be myself until 2014.
14. What is that?
The 5 years. It took 5
Not
years.
the accountant not being able to do the math. Okay.
But 5 years, yeah.
That's a long time, which I can completely relate. I think a lot of people can relate to that, like just finding your way, especially in the beginning of your career. So,
But it was just the workplaces. It just,
yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, I feel like I kind of struggled with like being myself and finding myself like in college too. So that probably didn't help entering a workforce and like feeling like I couldn't be myself. Yeah, I really remember that moment. I was a marketing manager, or I got recruited off of LinkedIn to be a marketing manager for an educational software company. It was so random. It definitely was God, because like I didn't apply. It was a random message. I don't even think my LinkedIn profile said I was looking for a job, because I wasn't even in the previous job for that long. So I didn't think that I was like even qualified to be a marketing manager.
So they just looked at your experience?
I think it was God. I think he was like searching different words, the recruiter, because he actually worked at that company. So he was like searching different words of, I guess, things, experiences on people's profile. And it was a black guy, and he sent me a random message. I just went in and, I was like, I don't know about this. Is this legit? Like, and it was kind of far.
It is LinkedIn though.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the Gaithers? Oh.
It was Frederick. Oh. So it was like an hour away. But I was already commuting. I've commuted an hour commute for a 20-mile drive. I would rather, I would rather be driving 50 miles in 50 minutes than 20 miles in 50 minutes. And that was the chase. So I was flowing, like driving there. So and going to a workplace that like you could be yourself. And like, it was just, people were so down, so cool. We had all these happy hours. I was drinking my wine. It was so much. It was a little bit too much fun, but so they had to put the CEO out, and then they got a new CEO, and it wasn't as much fun. But I really enjoyed that job. That's probably the only job I've had, and I think I've worked at four companies. It's the only job that I had at corporate that like I really enjoyed the environment. I really felt like I was contributing.
Yeah. And it's tough because sometimes you really love the people you work with, and I did like a lot of people I work with, and I also got to kind of stretch my personal endeavors by like joining some of the affinity groups, like the Black Associate group, where we could do outreach and philanthropy. And so that stuff really brought me a lot of joy, especially after COVID, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And like, I wish I could go into detail on now I say that it is abuse.
That's maybe for another episode.
But I felt like mentally beaten down,
Yeah.
And so, and I wanted to be a good wife, a good sister. Like, it was taken away from so many parts of my life that I just had to do something. Like, even if I didn't have the opportunity where I am now with Mitchell Consulting, I had set the goal in my mind in 2023 that I was leaving.
Yeah.
by the end of April. Period. Point blank. Even if I was door dashing, prostituting,
Oh Lord,
stripping.
girl, I mean, not prostitute.
Wait, you can't say prostitute anymore. You got to say something else. It's a
Well, one, you
girl.
never think about prostituting.
Girl, I've been hooking. Ask DeAndre, cause we gotta pay this mortgage, okay? No, just kidding, just kidding. Let me stop. God came through though, but you know that's a high level of my story. I know it took
like
a
your
while.
corporate,
The
your
corporate
part. Okay.
But yeah, I was there for a very long time. There was always issues with promotion. There was always issues where I had to like fight so hard. But then Burrow over here got promoted already 2, 3 times.
Yeah, no,
It's like the work that I did very well, saving the company money, saving the team time on doing stuff, making things more efficient. You know, like saving the amount of hours to do things by creating automation.
Yeah.
It just wasn't valued. And then when somebody else may have done something similar or not as good as me even, oh my God, all the praise, here's a promotion.
Yeah, I feel like just black women in general, like we have to do triple the amount of work, and like we have to do so much and give so much to just get regular promotions, to get regular salary increases. Because I remember that too, like really having to petition for salary increases that were like normal increases.
Right.
Like
My rent just went up more than this increase. Like, I'm confused.
yeah,
Get out.
crazy. My corporate experience is a little bit different or whatever. As you know, I have like a marketing and sales background. Once we got out of graduate school because we went to school together.
Hey.
Shout out to Hampton.
What up, Hampton? You? I was supposed to be like, word to Harvey, but Harvey's not there anymore.
No more Harvey. But word to the new
Word to, I don't know his name.
I don't know his name either, but that homecoming was lit.
Cut that out. Cut that out. That's embarrassing. No, homecoming was ridiculous.
Because of him. But anyway.
Because of him. Thank you for the block party.
Back
in
on
SWV. Okay, go ahead.
For everything. It was great.
It was.
Yeah, so I started, so once we graduated, I came back to DC area where I'm from and started working at a healthcare company, a large healthcare company. And I was like in a customer service role just to kind of get my foot in the door. I always knew that I wanted to work in marketing, and I went to school for emphasis in marketing with our MBA. But once I was in that at the healthcare company because I had interned for a couple years there before that. And luckily, I had a really, really good, cool manager that really liked me. And later on, I kind of found out that she wasn't really that well liked in the company, but me and her had a great relationship. So she petitioned for me to excel and to get promotions sooner than I probably normally would have.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I had some interesting experiences. So when I first came there, I was like in a sales training program where it was like maybe 10 to 15 of us, and we were all kind of young, and they took us every other week to different cities. It was like a new program that was piloted, and I feel like that manager is the one that got me in that program. So I was able to go to New York. I was able to go to, we went to Ohio a couple times. We went to Minnesota because the headquarters was there. And I was with these other people that were young, and it was a diverse group. So that was a really cool experience. So I stayed in that customer service position for like 8 months at the most. And then I got a $25,000 increase, and it was promoted to another position. So
at
now,
the same company?
Same company, and it was because of that manager. So
oh my goodness.
I was going from, it was more than that because I went from $37,500 a year, which I remember
you started at
our former
what now?
dean. Yeah, our former dean was PO'd or whatever.
What's that about?
That because I told him the salary, and I told him they had interviewed me when we were in school about, coming out of school in '09 and the recession and everything. And so they were like, tell us about your work experience. And I'm like, I got a job. It's paying this. I'm just happy to have a job. But, our dean was mad at me for saying that because of his precious MBA program. But anyway.
Shout out to Cradle.
Yeah. But anyway, so I started at $37,500, but 8 months later I was at $65,000. and I went from customer service position to like an account manager position. And I was able to get out of the office, and I was doing trainings to different small businesses. So that was really cool because I was able to really get like my presentation skills together, my speaking together, and obviously I was making good money. You know, that's when I got car, had my condo, and we were young, so I was like, yes, I got money. Having all the parties at the condo.
Oh my goodness, good time.
Yes. But then, okay, so I stayed at that company and in that sort of role for 3 years, and then I got laid off. I didn't want to sell healthcare insurance, which was the next promotion. And so, and I kept telling them like, hey, I want to be in marketing, I want to be in marketing. And I started shadowing like the marketing director there. So I was able to contribute to marketing, but I never was in an official marketing role. So they did some cutbacks. I got laid off randomly, and then
Wait, after the purchase of your home?
yeah, it was years after. It was years after.
But still, like, it's just a difference.
What?
When you're owning something and then lose the ability to keep it up versus like renting where you could kind of just get out of it.
Yeah, well, one good thing that I did, and I feel like up until the last few years when I was like, well, I want to live downtown, I feel like I made really good decisions, financial decisions regarding home. So what I did when I left school, I moved in with my parents. They were charging me, but not as much as what a rent would be. And I lived there for about a year, and I was looking for a condo like immediately. So when I got that $65K increase, I was already looking for a condo. And instead of looking for something that was going to be like super luxury and like 1,800 or 2,000 or whatever, I found something that was like in a city that like, you know, it was just like a real small town, but it was really not that far from where I grew up, like where my parents lived, and it was like close to the highway and stuff. So it wasn't like a city, like a pop-in city, but it was located in a like it was like centrally located to places that I wanted to go. So it was really easy for me to get around. And so I got a condo for $110,000. I bought it for $110,000, and I was paying $1,100 a month, including the condo fee, for years. The highest it ever went to was $1,300 a month. It was two bedroom, two bath. So I did that. I was in there for 11 years. So even when I got laid off from $65,000, because I'm good with money and I'm good with like whatever, and my expenses were pretty like low, unemployment was covering it.
Wow.
It covered all my bills. But it's because I made a choice to whatever. Later on, I was like, mice, roaches.
Tired of living here?
Roof falling in. Like, this is not gonna.
I remember that. When your roof caved, that was wild.
It was crazy, and it took them 2 months
to fix it.
Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, those good financial decisions, I feel like, have paid off in career and in personal life and stuff, too. So that was one good decision I say I contributed. But anyway, back to corporate. After that job, I went to a marketing software company. I was in account management again, so I was selling still. I performed really well, and I told my manager and other people that I could that I want to be in marketing department. I want to be in marketing department. So eventually I had the opportunity, and I feel like the opportunity was given to me because I made sure I performed well in the position that I had. So finally I got the opportunity to interview for a marketing consultant role, and I got the job. So then I got into that job, and then 8 months later is when I got the LinkedIn, or maybe 6 months, is when I got the LinkedIn message from the company in Frederick for the marketing manager role. So I had only been in a marketing position officially for 8 months before I was offered a marketing manager role.
Wow.
Or whatever. So then I was at that company, so I left. Went to that company because then, you know, more money. But that was another thing. I took a big step back when I went from 65,000 to back down to 40 when I lost the job. But I knew that I was going to be able to try and work my way into a marketing, like one, it was a marketing company. So, you know, all that happened. And then when I got the marketing manager role, I went back to 65. So it was like put me back in even. But yeah, so then I was at the other software company as a marketing manager, Eventually got laid off from there because it's tough in the marketing department. Working in sales and marketing, they cut you in a minute.
It's like the first to go.
It really
So
is.
it's a tough, yeah.
It is. Then after that, I got another job, and that job is the job that I left before becoming a full-time entrepreneur. In that job, I went from, at the time I got laid off, I was making 71K, and then the new job, it was 90K. So it was good. I hated that job, but it was good. And yeah, and that was the job that set me up for full-time entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So that's my story.
So what's the full length of time before you left? So
like working in corporate?
Yeah, so I started in 2009. Yeah. I was like, what? When did we graduate? Okay, 2009 to 2023. A total of
what's our math?
14 years.
14.
14 years.
14.
In the corporate space before exiting.
Yeah.
And then yours is 2009 to...
So mine is 2009 to 2019, so 10 years.
10 years.
So I've been full-time for 5 years.
Okay. Very interesting differences in our paths, but
yeah,
brought us here together.
Yes, and I feel like now we need to talk about, like, what the heck do we even do with our
company? Exactly. We don't even know.
Well, maybe we should start with, like, the side hustle part, and then what we're doing.
Side hustle journey. Let's see. I'll start. In 2016, with the support of amazing friends, I started a hair care company called Purely Perfect Hair, which...
The best.
I loved that. It was so fun.
My hair is still... it's sad. It needs it. I need the...
I owe you some shea butter. I do owe you. I feel like
oil, and that oil. I can't even... The oil, too. Like, the jojoba isn't cutting it. I need that oil.
The blend, you know. So I went natural in 2015, maybe. Okay. And so I was like trying all these different products, going to YouTube. YouTube is a great tool. Great for everything, mostly. I learned how to build a whole bunch of stuff, like make holes in the wall and everything. Listen, YouTube. Went to YouTube, tried to figure out how to do my hair because I wasn't feeling specific products. And I don't even want to name them because some things work for some people and some don't work for some some and not for others. So, you know, I don't think the brand is good or bad because it didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I just started seeing the girlies out here making their own stuff. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was a thing. Like, I really didn't because we were permed for so long, you know, and that's a whole nother conversation. So I just started making my own products and I gave it away to friends for Christmas. And they were like, this is good. You should sell this. And I was like, vehemently against being an entrepreneur for a while, actually.
Why were you so against it?
I just didn't want the responsibility. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to work for these people, get my little check, have a life, have a house, have a family. And then, you know, the older you get, the more you realize, like, oh, what I make is slightly finite and controlled by others, and it's definitely not enough, depending on where you live, to have a great living. Like, it's hard in this area to get a place, but I mean, you definitely made that work. I mean, kudos to you.
But I was in an area, like a less than desirable area, and the complex ended up being less than desirable for me.
That's
true. Like, there were issues, but luckily it worked out for a certain amount of
years. It did. So I gave it to friends, and they loved it, and they said I should sell it. And I didn't want to be an entrepreneur because it was just, I just didn't want the responsibility. I was going to get my little check. I was going to have my house. And I realized quickly that that was not even realistic. Like, it's kind of better to try to create your own path of wealth. And that could be staying at corporate and having a side hustle like I did for a while, like you did for a while.
Multiple streams
of income. So I don't want to say, like, having a job isn't going to always provide, because sometimes it really does for people, depending on where you are and what you want. But for me, it wasn't enough, and it was so hard to get more, and it, like, just working just took so much of my energy, which I realized was the office. But maybe I should try and start it. And I saw you do your own thing, and I had another friend up in Baltimore who was also an entrepreneur for a very long time, and I saw the ups and downs you guys went through, but I also kind of saw the freedom that you moved with in some ways. And so I was like, okay, I'll try it, let me make it. And the products were very good, actually. I learned a ton in that, and I did that side by side with my full-time career probably until COVID. Right before COVID hit, then I started an accounting company. And so I started off helping different campaigns with their treasury.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, what made you like, how did the accounting company even come to
come
be?
to
Yeah.
it really was because like in 2018 I started helping that one campaign. They just asked me to help them, and I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. And I learned things pretty quickly. I figured things out like, oh, I already have the foundational knowledge to do this work.
Mhm.
And I realized that working at corporate gave me a lot of experience on how things should work, like their process and controlling money and safeguarding, and also like managing risk when you're doing different things in the community, because you're working with a lot of cash and donations, and
Yeah.
that stuff needs to be safeguarded to the right people. And so I feel like I was able to really lend a lot of my talent to that.
Mhm.
And so when it came time to run again, I was like, okay, let me do this again. Well, the person asked me to do it again, so shout out to them. Not dropping the name, but shout out to them. And they also had created like this network of people that also were running, and I basically supported maybe like 8 campaigns. It was crazy. I did not have time to do anything, but I think I supported around 8 campaigns, and then I was
like you were being hired by the
I was
other
being
campaigns?
hired by other campaigns to do their
Yeah.
treasury because the strength of this person saying like I do a good job, I'm very
Mhm.
trustworthy, and that's a big deal in the accounting field.
Networking and referrals is big in general, like
That's
for
true. That's true.
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah, like good or bad experiences, I've always wanted to just leave a good impression with the people that I'm working with, and hopefully that helps. So I think that did help because working with those campaigns then got me some of my first clients when I started working with small businesses. King Crown Financial Solutions was created kind of out of helping people with their finances when they were doing small projects like, the campaign, or they were like nonprofits. And so I kind of got into that work, but it was like kind of during COVID. So then I was doing the hair business, the financial business, and then also working full time. And so I had to cut something. So I cut Purely Perfect Hair. Is just, it's not closed. It's still an official business on it's still registered.
That's why my hair's straight right now, because I ain't got the good products for the curls.
Please
I
stop.
haven't been able to replicate your product.
Girl, bye. But yeah, so I was side hustling since 2016 and then quit in 2023. So that's like 7 years. It's a long time to side hustle. I would say also the accounting business was a bit more lucrative.
Mm-hmm.
It was like more money for less work, because like product-based businesses are tough. They take a lot of investment.
Yeah, that's another conversation. I mean, actually, I don't even know. I feel like we need to bring someone in to talk with us of who has a product business, because like product business versus service businesses and
It's
how to make money. We know people who know people.
We do.
So whatever. So, but yeah, it's like a whole different thing, like running product businesses. You have to do so many sales usually to even, and you have more overhead and more inventory. Service business, you could charge $500 or something, and you have like
cost your time.
Yeah, it was like nothing. Like
yeah, and that's something that when we do a tax episode, we'll talk about that, because I was like, I needed more expenses, honey. I was like, oh my goodness, when I got that tax bill that year, my lord. But
you were still doing on the side.
I was doing on the side, and I was making that money, but then I didn't have a ton of expenses for that business. I was like, I need to hire somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my side hustle journey. How about your side hustle journey?
So my business now is a branding, web design, and marketing company called AMW Marketing Design. I started with web design officially probably in 2012. So like I have been designing websites since high school. I started doing it, doing Black Planet pages, MySpace pages. And so I was just doing it for fun. Once I graduated from school, years and years later, people knew that I knew how to do web design, at least my friends and some of my family knew. So they would ask me to do sites. So I remember some of the first few sites I did, like a DJ site and stuff. And so I was just doing it for friends. And then eventually more and more people started asking me. So I started charging, because a friend would tell a friend, And so then I was charging them, and I was like, charge real low. I worked off of referrals. Like, I'm still working off referrals, honestly. Like, I just ran into someone. Like, last week I ran into someone that, like, I had worked with 10 years ago. Or whatever,
wow.
And she heard about me from a referral. So I started 2012. So now we're in 2024. So I've been doing this 12 years.
Wow.
12 years. Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out to Black Planet.
Yeah. I don't even get into Black Planet. I remember I had a little Black Planet boyfriend
Oh,
who had a whole like well,
he was scamming.
he wasn't scamming, but there was scandal. But we don't need to get into it. Young and dumb. But anyway, but so yeah, it's been about 12. No, what did I say? 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years. Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like we have so much more to talk about with this topic. I feel like we need a part 2.
Maybe need a part 2 because we still need to get into the like how do we prepare to leave and how do we prepare our mindset.
Making that jump.
The jump, oh my goodness, just even believing that you can provide for yourself after depending on someone else like, when you have a W-2 income, it's like you're really depending on that job to pay you regardless of if you work or not, right? It was hard for me not to work because I'd get so behind, like I had so much to do. It wasn't based on hourly. It was just like that money's always going to be there. If I have a bad day and I take a day off, that money's still going to be there.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, if I get sick and I don't have a client, like a prospect meeting, that's money that's not coming into my household. And it's just a whole different mindset of like, can I even do this?
It definitely is. It definitely is. And I feel like in the first few years of me doing full-time entrepreneurship, I was really trying to figure that out. And I feel like it wasn't until last year, which was my 4th year, that I was like, oh, okay, there's some things that I can do differently so I can have more consistent. So I definitely, we'll get more into that next time we talk. But
dope.
Yeah, great. First F.
First F in the bag. We did it.
Yes. All right. I think it's about that time. We need to wrap this up, but we definitely need a part 2.
We do need a part 2.
So what are we toasting to today?
I think we're toasting to journeys, right? We shared our journey, and we're prayerful that it helps you guys to start your journey or keep going. Like, we just want to encourage you to embrace the roller coaster that is entrepreneurship. And, we're here to help. Toast to the journey. Cheers.